Welcome, I'm Preston with Sprattronics Learning Lab, and today we're going to be building our cozy tiny town dice game. We're going to build this game in 5 parts. First, we're going to build our money-making engine, the core gameplay loop. This game is based on the card game Machi Koro, where you buy businesses to make your town and you roll a dice. And based on the roll of the dice, your businesses will pay out money. So we'll start by creating our dice and making sure our payout system works. Then in step 2, we're going to create the opportunity for us to build our town and customize it. This is the sticky part of our game. This is what folks that play this game are going to really enjoy, and that's going to be organizing the town and choosing the businesses that they put inside the town. The third step that we're going to do is we're going to get dirty with our map. We're going to create some synergies so that you can change your strategy up as you play the game. The fourth step that we're going to do is we're going to create a level system so that this game has some sort of challenge to it and a progression. This should hopefully keep people playing our game for longer. And finally, the fifth step, we're going to add a little bit of polish to our game. We'll add a few features that make this game look professional, and then we'll leave you with a challenge where you can make the game your very own. I'm already in Scratch, and the first thing I want to do is give my program a name, and I'm going to call it Tiny Town Dice City, and we might call it Dicey City. That could be fun. First thing we need to do, we are going to be coding our money-making engine. So we need to create a die that you can roll, and we're going to make this a little more advanced so that we're ready for it later on. I want it to actually end up with 2 dice that you can roll. And we're also going to create a business that'll make money. So first thing I want to do is I'm just going to get rid of the sprite, and I want to draw my own sprite. I'm going to create a purple die, and I want it to be a square just like that. Line it up with the middle. This will be my dice. Now I'm going to start making some costumes. So we've got costume 1. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it 6 times because there are 6 sides of our dice. And I'm going to make a costume for each version of our dice. And I want the dice dots to be black. And let's set our brush size to, I want to try 45. That's right, too big, 30. So 1 dot for 1 dice, 2 dots. And we'll just go through and make 1 costume for each roll of the die. We make sure these are in order because later on we're going to be assigning a costume change to go to either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, depending on what we roll. We've got our die on the screen, and when the game starts, we want to create a couple variables. So make a variable called dice total. We're going to make a variable called dice roll 1. This is for our first dice that rolls. And then we'll make a variable called dice roll 2. Let's see. Let's make one more variable called roll count. I want to keep track of how many times our player rolls the dice. So when clicked, when sprite is clicked, and we'll probably keep just those 2 for now. When the game starts, I want this dice to shrink down a little bit. I think it's too big, so I am going to go to looks. I'm going to set the size to, and let's see what 75% looks like. A little smaller. That's probably good. I'm happy with that size. We can always change it later. And I want this to be up at the very top of the screen. So I'm going to change my go to position to be -63 and 150. Motion, go to -63 and 150. This is where I always want it to start when we hit here. Next, when the game starts, we need to make those variables 0. So set dice roll 2, set roll count, and set dice total. So all these become 0 when the game starts. When you press that green button, our game starts over. We're now ready for when this sprite is clicked. When somebody clicks on that sprite, we need something to happen. I want a roll effect, so I'm going to turn it 15 degrees in both directions. I still want it to stay in its location, so I'm going to put that at the end. And we want a weight so you can actually see this roll, 0.1. We're doing 1/10 of a second so that you can see the roll. I just want our dice to wiggle a little bit. Let's make it wiggle twice and then make sure it ends up back in its location. And one more thing we want it to do is we want it to be facing the same direction that it is, because if somebody clicks on this dice too many times, it'll start to rotate and it won't go back to its correct position. So we add this point in direction 90 so it goes back to position. So our dice gives a little bit of wiggle. We want to go ahead and start with some polish with our game, so we're going to add a sound to this. And whenever you click the dice, we want it to play a sound. And I don't want to record a sound, I want to upload a sound because I have a great dice noise that I have saved. Awesome. So in my code, I want to start sound dice roll sound effect. And I like to change the pitch by just a little bit every time you roll the dice. That way it's not the same sound over and over again. So I'm going to change pitch effect, and I'm going to do a -10 to 10. So every time you click this, it's going to slightly change the sound of the dice roll. We've done a lot of effects. We don't actually have our dice rolling anything yet. So now it's time for us to set our dice roll so that it actually changes the number. So here is what we are going to do. We're going to go to our variables, and we are going to set dice roll 1. This is just if you click this dice, set dice roll 1 to, and we are going to do a random number. And it's going to be a random number from 1 to 6, because those are the options. This now sets our dice roll to a random number. So we rolled a 6. Now it just happens to be that our costume's not changing, but our number of our dice roll value is changing. So what we will do next is we are going to change the costume. So we go to looks, and we are going to switch costume to, and we are using our variable to control that. So dice roll 1. Now when we click on it, it should change the costume to whatever the dice rolls. So 4 there, a 6 there, a 1. Great, that looks like that is working. We've changed the costume, so now we're ready to change the dice total. And the dice total is going to be what our city actually checks to see if it makes money. So now we are going to make a variable, set dice total to, and we need to add our 2 dice up. We need to add up dice roll 1 plus dice roll 2. Now, if we're clicking on just this first dice, we only want 1 dice to roll. And so right now, dice roll 2 isn't creating a number. It's already set to 0. But if we click on this 1 dice, we want our player to only be rolling 1 dice. So we are going to set dice roll 2 just to 0, no matter what. That way, you have the choice of rolling 1 dice or 2 dice. And if you rolled 2 dice last time, that extra number is not going to change what our dice roll is this time. So what we should see is that dice roll 1 and dice roll 2 are the same, and that our costume matches. That looks good to me. Next, we're going to broadcast a signal. And that signal that we're going to broadcast is called check payout. We go to events, and we broadcast, and we're going to create a new message called check payout. That means that our dice has rolled, we've gotten a dice total, so now we can check payout for our cities. This will make sense if you've played our game already, if you've ever played Machi Koro. Before we start checking our payout, we're creating our next, actually, let's go ahead and create a wheat field so we can check if our payout works, and then we'll create our second dice, and then we will create the option to roll 2 dice at a time. I create a sprite, and I'm going to upload a sprite called wheat. And this is my wheat field. Now, you see that this wheat field is gigantic. I want to shrink it quite a bit. So let's see, control, events. When start is clicked, we need to change the size of this. So looks, set size to, I want this to be, let's try 20% and just see if that looks like the right size for our wheat field. Next, we need to have it listening for any time it tells us to check the payout. So we're going to go to events, and when I receive, check payout. Right now, we just have dice. We need to create a new variable called coins. Make a variable name called coins. And we want to add however much value our wheat field has to the value of our coins. We're going to create another variable that's unique for this sprite only, and every sprite is going to have its very own payout. So when I receive check payout, we want this to be the activation number of 1. So if I roll a 1, I want my wheat field to pay. The way our game works, we're going to create a business for every possible number you could roll. If you roll that number, that business pays out. So when I receive, and we're going to go to control, if, we need an operator now, and we are going to set it to this equal sign, and we are going to get our variable dice total if dice total equals 1. Then we are going to make this wheat field pay out 1. We go to variables. We are going to change our coins by 1. We can test this out now. We're going to click the green button to start our game. Everything goes back to 0. Let's just check and see if our wheat field pays us 1 coin anytime a 1 is rolled. So we rolled a 1 and it jumped up. Now this is weird. No, it's not. We rolled a 3. My coins are 1. We want it to go up 1 more if we roll a 1, and it just did it. Right now, you have to watch your coins to see if you're getting paid. We will make a feature later on that'll make it very clear that our player has received some money. Our dice system seems to work. Our check payout works. Let's add a second dice now. So I'm going to duplicate the die. It's now called Sprite 2. I'm going to start changing some names now. Dice 1, dice 2. And I want to put this dice right next to the other one. I lost it because I clicked the green button and made it float away. I want this one to go right next to the other dice. So we are going to set this one to go to 0, 150. 0, 150 when the game starts. We don't need all these variables because we're already controlling that with the first dice. And we want to go in here, and now dice roll 2 is the one that's being a random number. Switch costume to dice roll 2. Get rid of that. We want to set dice roll 1 to 0 and then roll. So let's push the green button. We now have our 2 dice. If I click on the first dice, it rolls, and it should pay me anytime I roll a 1. Or I can click on the second dice. I'm noticing that it is hiding the dice when I click on it, and that's because we still have this code here, which tells it to go back to its correct position. We'll just change that with a 0. Start our game over. And now that dice should stay in one spot. We have 2 dice up here, but we're only rolling 1 at a time. We're now going to add a feature that's going to roll both dice. So it doesn't matter which one you click, it rolls just 1 dice at a time. Let's make it so you can roll both dice. So we're going to create a new sprite for this, and we're going to paint it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create an image of 2 dice on top of each other. So I make a little square, and then I make another little square. And then let's go in and draw dice dots on both of those. And we're going to make this much smaller since these are tiny dice. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, and then maybe a 2. This is 2 dice. I'm hoping that our user recognizes that these 2 dice mean you're rolling both. And we're going to make our user see that by changing our code so that they notice it. So first thing I want to do is set it up so that whenever our game starts, we shrink this down a little bit more. So we'll go to looks. We will tell it to set size to, and I want this to be pretty small. Let's go about half that size. What's that look like? I like that. Then we need it to go to the correct location and always stay in the right location. And it'll go just right underneath these dice. And so this is going to be -34, 105. So we'll tell it to go there. Now we are ready for when you click on it. So we'll go to Control, Events. When this sprite is clicked. When this sprite is clicked, I want it to tell these 2 to roll. And so what we'll do is we'll create a new broadcast, not called check payout, but roll dice. And so when you click on it, it should roll those dice. And we are going to make it so that they both roll, change their costume, and set a value to them. So right now we click on it and we don't see anything happens. We go back to dice 1. When I receive roll dice, and we want it to basically do the same thing that it did earlier. So what I'm going to do is, I want to do all this stuff. I just don't want it to set dice roll 2 to 0. So what we'll do is we will duplicate this stretch of code, attach it here, put it back, and then put everything back together. So when I receive roll dice, right now my first dice is rolling correctly, and it changes pretty quickly. That takes about half a second for it to shake. So now we need to add this to dice number 2 so that it shakes as well. And again, when I receive roll dice, we are going to duplicate this section, everything up until we start telling the other dice to be worth 0. We'll reattach it so that when you click the dice, it rolls correctly, or when you click the double dice, they both roll. And they both seem to be coming up with their own numbers, and their costumes seem to be matching the variables that they have. 2 and a 3, 5 and a 3, 5 and a 4, 2 and a 3, 6 and a 3, 4 and a 6. But our dice total isn't updating. I'd like that to be controlled by our double dice, our roll 2. So when this sprite is clicked, broadcast, roll dice, I am going to tell it to wait for 0.5 seconds, a half second. That's going to give our dice time to roll, to change their costumes, and to have the correct value. And then we are going to set our dice total to both dice added together. And so that will be an operator, blank plus blank, dice roll 1 plus dice roll 2. And then we're going to broadcast check payout. We only want that check payout to be broadcast one time. Otherwise, our wheat field is going to keep paying itself over and over and over again. So, broadcast check payout. So let's test it out. If I roll 1 dice, right now I have 8 coins. If I get a 1, it should add 1 coin to it. So now I have 9. That worked. Let's check our second dice. Keep rolling until I get a 1, and then that should take us up to 10 coins. Great, now let's roll the 2. The thing with rolling 2, it's going to be impossible to get a 1, so our wheat field won't activate. Our dice total, though, didn't update. I've got a 3 and a 3. My dice total should be 6, but I'm ending up with a 1. That time it updated. Didn't update that time. Are we not waiting long enough? Or are we only setting set dice roll 2, set dice roll, set dice roll 2, set dice roll 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's tell it to wait just a little bit longer. Maybe that will give it time to set those dice rolls, and then we can add the dice total up. Okay, we got an 11 there, a 5, that looks good, an 8, a 4, a 7, a 6, an 8. That looks like we're giving it enough time. We could change it to 1 second. I just don't know if that's satisfying enough for our player. I also noticed that I just moved that dice. So I think I want to go through and set all these to not be able to be dragged. So let me get it back to where I want it to go. And I'm going to go to sensing, and I'm going to set drag mode to not draggable on all my dice. I don't want my player to accidentally move them. We have built our game engine. It has taken us about 20 minutes to get this going, but this really controls a lot of our game. Now we're going to be able to start making our game more fun to play, add some variety to it. We are going to start building our city building portion of our game now that our payouts work and that our dice rolls work. The next step of what we're going to do is make it so that we can build onto our city. And along the bottom is where we're going to have some different cards that are going to let you build your city. Let's go over here to wheat. And I don't really want it on my stage, so I'm going to hide it when the game starts. Let's create a new sprite. And what I want to do is we're going to create one sprite that's going to be a build card and one sprite that's going to be our actual building. So I want to paint this new sprite, and I want to try to copy my wheat field into it. So I'm going to select it and hit Control-C for copy, or click copy. Then I'm going to go to Sprite 2, which is going to be my build card. And I want this to be a little gray. That looks good. That's the card I want. Now I'm ready to paste my wheat field on there. So I hit Control-V, and I'm going to resize it to make it smaller. And I need to give my player some information. And let's line all this up so it's in the middle. There we go. I want my player to know that this happens anytime you roll a 1. So I'm going to copy a 1 dice. I'm going to select it, copy it, go over here to my sprite. I'm now going to paste it on there, bring it up to the top, make it smaller. And so my user can see that anytime you roll a 1, that's when this business gets activated. And then let's make it so that they know how much this costs and how much it pays out. So I'm going to upload another sprite that I have, and my sprite is called a coin. And when the game starts, I just want to hide this. I don't want you to be able to see it. We will use this later on. When that's clicked, looks, hide, get that out of here. So we will go back to our sprite 2. This is called our build wheat sprite. We are making this look pretty fancy. We don't need to do much else with it now. We might actually stop so we can just get through the coding portion of everything. But if you want, I want people to know it pays you 1 sprite. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to shrink it way down. And I'll just put it right here to show that it costs 1 or that it pays 1. And maybe I'll even duplicate it. And we'll do cost on the left, payout on the right. But this is my build card for when you can build a wheat field. Let's shrink this down and get this wheat field into the right spot so that we can start building more wheat fields in our town and making money. So we'll go to code, events, when the game begins, and when this sprite is clicked. So when the game begins, we want this to shrink down. I don't want this to be very big. Let's set it to 25%, see what that looks like. That shrank down plenty. And then I want it to go right down here in this corner. And that's going to be negative 215 and 146. So we'll go to motion, go to that location. This way it'll always go back to the right spot. Then it's going to not be draggable. So I'm going to do sensing, set drag mode, not draggable. So it appears on my screen. When our game starts, I don't want them to have a wheat field out there in the business area. So we don't want this wheat field to show up, and we don't want them to get paid for this wheat field that they have not built. So we are going to start off by telling this to hide when the game starts. We also want its payout to be 0. So we're going to go to variables, and we are going to set the payout to 0. And then over here where we say, if you roll a 1, change coins by 1, we're going to change that to match payout. And we can change that payout when we clone the wheat field, create the instance of it. So if I click the green button, it should disappear. If I roll a 1, I shouldn't get any coins. Looks like I didn't get any coins. We need to go back to dice 1, which controls our game, and we need to tell it when you start the game, set coins to 3. I think when you begin this game, you should have 3 coins to spend. When you click on this build button, we are going to check and see, do you have enough coins to build a wheat field? If you have enough, it's going to build a wheat field. If you don't have enough, it's not going to do anything. So we're ready for our code for build a wheat field. When this sprite is clicked, first, we need to control if, and then operators, if coins is greater than the cost of this business. And a wheat field should cost 1 coin. This won't quite work because you'd have to have 2 coins to get it. So we're going to change our cost. As long as you have more than 1 coin, more than 0 coins, you can build it. So if you click on it, and if you have the right number of coins, we need to create an instance. Create clone of wheat. So now we're going to go over here to wheat. And when I start as a clone, this is when we want to give it a value. So when I start as a clone, we're going to set its payout to 1. That means a wheat field will pay you 1. We're going to show the wheat field. And then we want it to go to a random position. And let's make it draggable so that if our player wants to move the wheat field somewhere in their town, they can. So I'm going to go to Sensing, set drag mode to draggable. And I think I'm going to put show as very last. So let's try this out. We hit play. You have 3 coins, nothing in your field. We click here. We just made a wheat field. We didn't lose any coins though, so our player could kind of cheat and make 100 coins. So we will go and we will change that build wheat to take away a coin. And so we'll change coins by -1 and then create the wheat field. So let's set our game. Let's build until we run out of wheat fields. And now we can roll 1 dice at a time. And if we roll a 1, we should get 3 coins. I rolled a 1. We got 3 coins. If we roll another 1, we should get 3 more. So we've rolled a couple more 1s and we've got 9 coins. This isn't very satisfying because we're not showing our player that they're getting coins, and we're also not making any sounds to let them know they're getting coins. And there's really no levels that we need to do. So what we will do next is we are going to build a couple more businesses. Let's add a backdrop so that we have something cozy to start working on with our game. So I'm going to change my stage by clicking on backdrop, uploading a backdrop, and I want this 8-bit hamlet that we designed. And that looks like a nice backdrop for our town. We're still in stage 2 of building our game, where we're going to make it so you can build a couple businesses. It's going to go much faster now because now we can just basically copy paste the code we've already written and change a couple numbers so that this will work. So let's create a forest. Actually, I want a cafe. So just like before, I'm going to copy this cafe and copy the code that I created for my wheat field. So what I do is I just click on the code, I drag it over to the cafe, and I let go. And then I let go, and then I let go. And so let's look at this cafe now. And all that code that I just sent over to it is there, and we're ready to start making some changes. We want this cafe to show up next to that. Actually, we don't. We want it to just hide. We want the payout for a cafe to also pay 1, but we only want a cafe to pay you if you roll a 2. So we're going to change if dice total equals 2, then payout. And we'll leave that payout as 1. We hit the green button, our cafe disappears. We now need to build a build card for the cafe. So I'm just going to completely duplicate my build wheat. I'm going to drag it down here to where I want it to show up. I'm going to change it to build cafe for its name. And I need to change its costume just a little bit. I'm going to click on that wheat field and delete it. And now I'm going to get my cafe, select my cafe, copy it, go to my build cafe, paste it. I'm going to shrink it down. The cost and the payout is going to be the same, so I'll leave those coins alone. I do need to change my costume, so let's delete that dice costume. And we'll go over here to costume 2, copy it, paste it, shrink it. And now we see that our cafe hits if you roll a 2. You can click on it to build a cafe. Let's check our code and see what we need to change. I want this location. So I'm going to change when the game starts, go to -169 and -146. It's not draggable. We don't want it to create wheat though. We want it to create a clone of cafe. Create an 8-bit cafe. So we could change the name of that to just cafe. create clone of cafe, change the coins by -1. Let's check our cafe code now. Random position, draggable, if dice total equals 2. This all looks good to me. Let's test and see. Can we build a wheat field? It showed up way up there. Can we build a cafe? We can. It takes down our coins. Can we build another cafe? And then let's check and see. Can we build even if we don't have money? No. So now we need to start making money. Let's start clicking on some dice to roll. And if we get a 1 or a 2, we should get paid. We just got paid. We've created our businesses, our clones. Let's take a few minutes and we are going to add some more businesses to this game before we start creating synergies, levels, and polishing the game. If I click go, everything restarts. Next up, I am going to build a forest. And I want this forest to basically do the same thing that the cafe did. So I will just copy all my code over to it. My forest, though, is going to pay out a little bit more and also cost a little bit more to buy. So a forest is going to hit on a 5. And then that all looks good. Hit the green button and it shrinks and goes away. Now we need to have the ability to build that forest. So we'll duplicate the building a cafe. We're going to change it to build forest. We want it to cost 3 coins. So we need to change that if coins is greater than 2, which means you'd have to have 3 or more. Change coins by -3. Create clone of forest. We also want this to show up. We'll skip a spot for 3, skip a spot for 4, have our forest show up over here for 5. So this is going to be -18, -146. And now we need to change our costume so it's clear we're building a forest. Delete. Select and copy. Go back to build the forest. Paste it. Shrink it. This pays out 2 coins and it should cost 3. So I'm going to put 3 coins down here for the cost. And then we need to change that. And what I might do is I might just redraw it so it looks like a 5. That looks clear to me. Great. Let me check our code and see what we need to change in here for build forest. Not draggable, set size. Let's check our forest. If you roll a 5, it hits. Set payout, we want you to get 2 coins if it pays out. And we only want you to get 2 coins when it's created. So let's try this. We can build a wheat field. I don't think we can afford a forest now. We cannot. So let's build a couple wheat fields, roll until we get a 1. Oh, we got a 1. Now we can afford a forest. We build it, put it where we want it, and now we should roll until we get a 5, and that should pay us 2 coins. Looks like it worked. So we've now given us the ability to build businesses, to create parts of our town on here. We should create a couple more towns, and I'm going to skip and go all the way up to, I think, number, 9. The next building we're going to make is going to be a high-value, expensive building called the Mine. And it's going to go over here on the end. And then I'll quickly build my other ones, but I'll fast forward so that we can move on to the next step, which is going to be creating synergies. So I'm going to upload my new sprite, and it is an 8-bit mine. I've got my mine. We're going to go over here to forest, and like we've been doing, we just copy our code into that mine. Then I click on it, and I want to just go ahead and get it out of the way, hide it. So I click the green button. When we create this mine, we want the payout to be 6 coins. We also want it to hit if you roll an 11 or a 12. So we are going to go over here to operators, and we are going to use this one that says or. And so we will duplicate if our dice total equals 5, and we'll just change those numbers to 11 or 12. Change coins by payout. And then that set payout to 6. That means you're going to get 6 coins with it. Next thing we need to do is create a build card for the mine. So we are going to duplicate the forest, change it to build mine, and then I like to change the costume first so that I know which one I'm working with. So let's find that mine, select the whole thing, copy it, paste it, shrink it. So what we will do now is we need to create that it's going to cost 4 coins. And then we want to show that it pays you 6 coins total. And you can make this look however you want. I'm just trying to make it so that there are about 6 coins on there. I'm going to send these 2 on the end to the back. Oh, too far back. There we go. Go backwards. That looks like a pile of coins. That's all good. Let's change our code, and let's also change it so that it ends up way over here, because this is going to be the last business that you have the ability to build. So we'll do 215 is where it'll go. It's going to cost you 4 coins, so we need greater than 3. Change coins by -4. Create clone of mine. I need to change that name, call it a mine. So let's check and see. We have 3 coins, so we need to earn some money. And I'm going to build some wheat fields to start. 1, 2, 3. I like them down here. And let's keep rolling until we have 4 coins total. All right, I'm going to build a mine and then another mine because I had enough money, 2 mines. And now we can start rolling 2 dice. And we're trying to get an 11 or a 12, and we should see that number of coins jump up pretty high. Okay, so it's 9, got a 12, it jumped up. Great, so our mine works. We are ready for the next step of our game, which is where we are going to create some synergies. We're going to create different businesses that you can add that multiply by each other. That way we can change up our strategy and make some big bucks while playing our game. So my next business we are going to create is going to be a flower garden. And this flower garden can pair with our flower shop. So what we will do is, like we've been doing, we are going to duplicate our code just by copying it over. And then going into our new business, and this one is called a flower garden. I like to press the green button just so it disappears and is off my screen. The flower garden hits if you roll a 4. The payout is 2 coins. We want, though, to keep track of how many flower gardens do we have. So we are going to create a new variable, make a variable called flower garden count. We hit OK. And when we create an instance of a flower garden, when I start as a clone, we want to change the flower garden count by 1. Now we need to have the ability to build these flower gardens. So we are going to just duplicate our cafe. And instead of calling it build cafe, we call it build flower garden. And then let's change the costume so we know what we're working with. Delete that. Go to our flower garden. Copy and paste it. Shrink it down. That looks like that fits. I'm going to add 2 more. I'm going to change my dice so that it says it hits on a 4. And then I'm going to change the price of this. So this should cost 2, and it should pay out 2. Our build card looks good. We're going to change the code now. We want our build card to show up right over here. And that looks like -68 is where we want it to go. We want it to cost 2 coins, so it needs to be greater than 1. It'll change the coins by -2, and it's going to create a clone of the flower garden. So our flower garden is there. We're using the same code, so I know this is going to work correctly. You should absolutely test it. We now want to build another business called Flower Shop. So I'm going to upload a sprite. I'm going to upload my flower shop. And just like we've been doing, we are going to copy some code there, but we don't want to copy the flower garden code because we don't want to change our flower garden count. I'm just going to do probably cafe. When clicked, when I start as a clone, and when I receive check payout. So now we go to our flower shop. I want it to delete off my screen, so I push my green flag. I organize my clone, set payout to 1. I can actually get rid of that because we are not going to use a payout for this one. There's actually a formula we do. So set payout to 0, that's fine. When I start as a clone, make it draggable. If dice equals 6, this one's only going to activate if you roll a 6, and it is going to multiply 3 times however many flower gardens you have. So for every flower garden you have, it'll pay you 3 coins. So we do flower garden count times 3. Change coins by flower garden count times 3. Let's give us the ability to build the flower garden now, and then we'll test and see if this works. So next up is going to be to duplicate one of our build cards. We're going to change it from flower garden to build flower shop. We'll go into the costume so we know what building we're working with. Delete. And we want this one to be our flower shop. So we copy it. And then we paste it. And we shrink it. Shrink it a little bit more. That looks like a flower shop. It's going to only cost 1, but it's going to pay out. Maybe we should draw an X on here. Let's do 3 coins. And then we'll put a red X to represent that multiplication that we're doing. Text, type. I always have trouble with typing. There we go. Zoom back out. Make that a little bigger. I don't really like that, but I'll leave it there. It makes sense. Now let's find a good location for this flower shop to go. It will go right next to our forest. That looks like 25. So in the code, we're going to say 25. Create a clone of a flower shop. And that reminded me I needed to change the name here. I don't want it to be the image name. I want it to be its own name. Build flower shop, create clone of flower shop, change coins by -1, and it needs to only cost 1. So we check if coins are greater than 0. I think we are ready to test this out, but before we test it out, I want to hide some of these. I don't really need my dice roll 1 or my dice roll 2 anymore because those work. I do want to keep the roll count. I do need the coins. I don't need this wheat payout number. So I need to go to wheat, I think, and uncheck payout to hide it. I'll keep looking at flower garden count because that's the skill we're testing right now. So let's make our game big. We press the green button to reset everything. And let's see, we want to earn, let's build a flower garden. And then let's also build a flower shop. So if we roll a 4, we should get 2 coins. If we roll a 6, we should get 3 coins. I didn't look at my coins before I started rolling, so I don't know. Let's build a bunch of flower shops. And then if we roll a 6, we'll get just a Ton of coins. Yeah, let's do it like this. If we roll a 6, we should get 3 coins for every flower shop we have. 88 coins right there. I think that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 times 3. It seems higher than what I would have expected. I'm going to reset. Coins are 3. Build 1 flower garden and 1 flower shop. If we roll a 4, we should get 2 coins. If we roll a 6, we should get 3 coins. So we just got our flower garden. So let's see if we get a 6 to hit. We just got another 4, so our flower garden paid. Another 4. Trying to get a 6, and that should give us 3 coins. Got our 6. We got way too many coins. There's a glitch somewhere. This says we have 3 flower gardens, and we don't. So we need to set a variable at the very beginning of our game that sets the flower garden count to 0. There we go. And then let's double check our flower shop math. Flower garden count times 3. That should work. We'll test it out real quick. Build 1 flower garden, build 1 flower shop, start rolling to get a 6. We got 6 coins, but we only have 1 flower garden. Got another 6 coins. I wonder if we're doing a dice total equals 6, change coins by flower garden count times 3. That should be 3. Is something else hitting on 6? Dice total is 4, 11 or 12, dice total 2, dice total 5. It's because we have a hidden flower shop on here. So we are going to need to use that payout feature. So set, when I start off as a clone, set payout to 3, because we want it to be worth 3 for every flower garden. And what we're doing is we are keeping this original flower shop that showed up at the very beginning that we hide because we can't delete it. I'm sure there's a way to delete them. I don't know how to do it right now. We hide it, but we set it so that it's not worth anything. Its payout is 0. Only ones that are started as a clone, which means you've paid to build it, will have a value. So we set payout to 3. Instead of having this text 3 right here, we are going to call it a payout 3, and that should fix our issue. So let's test this. We build 1 flower garden and 1 flower shop. We roll a 6, and we should get paid out 3. Okay, we rolled our 4, another 4, another 4. Got our 6, and it added 3. Perfect. We fixed that bug. We are now ready to create our level progression. What we are going to do now is we are going to hide some of these businesses behind a level cap. That way you don't just start the game and have everything accessible. You build your little town. We want some progression in here. The way we are going to do this, just hit that green button to hide everything. I want to hide maybe my double dice behind a level cap of, let's call it 5. I want to hide my flower garden and my forest and my flower shop behind levels, let's say 2, then level 3, then level 4. Then you can get the dice for level 5 and a mine. So we are going to go to the very beginning of our game, which dice 1's where everything is set up. And we are going to create a variable called level. Where are you, level? We are going to set level to 1 to start our game. Let's see, I'm going to hide that flower garden count because we know that works now. We'll just set that off to the side. I think I'll put dice total over here. I'll put level over here. And I think I'll put coins and roll count up here. I get some things out of our way. So we need a way to progress our game to go to the level. And we need something that always updates. So we're going to check our events. And what we can do is we can put it on our stage. And when the game starts forever, check our level. And so what we will do is do an if then. So we need a goal as well. So let's go to variables, make a variable called goal. And I'll go back to dice 1 and we'll set that goal. Actually, we won't set that goal here. So on our backdrop, on this code is running our level system. We want to set the goal to level times 8. For every level you're on, you've got to get 8 coins. That way the game gets harder as you go. You've got to earn more coins. So we are going to just type in an 8 here, and we're going to use a variable called level. Set goal to level times 8. And let's just see if that works. We hit play. Goal is 8. Now we also need to check, have you passed that goal? So what we will do is we'll make another check inside here. Control, this is an if. Operators, we need a greater than. And we're going to check our variables. If our coins are greater than our goal, you beat the level. What you will do then is we want it to broadcast a message. So I'm going to make a new sprite, and I'm going to just paint it. And it's going to be text, and I want that text to be black. And you got to get the cursor lined up just right to type in here. Oh, we're almost there. Next level, exclamation point. Put that in the middle here. When we create an instance of next level, I want it to, actually when the game starts, and when I start as a clone. So when the game starts, I want to hide this. But when I start as a clone, I want it to go into the middle of the screen. So right around there. So we'll do motion, go to x.6, and then we want it to scale, which means just get bigger. So that's going to be under looks. It's going to change size by 10. It's going to wait 0.1 seconds. And it's going to do that 10 times. Events, control, repeat 10 times. And then we're going to delete the clone. So when I start as a clone, go to the middle. Let's see what 25%. And then let's also just make it slowly move up. So change Y by 10 every time. We'll see what that looks like. It should hide. We're going back to our backdrop, which is where we're coding in our level change area. So when the green button is clicked, set goal to level times 8. When you meet that level, let's create an instance of, it's called sprite 2. It's our next level text, and I'll just change that. Next level. So for our next level, when we get to the next level, we need to clear our screen. We need to reset our coins. We need to change the goal, and we want to start fresh. So we are going to also create a clone of next level. We're going to broadcast a signal out. Broadcast. And we're going to call this broadcast clear level, clear town. And this is just going to go through and it's going to tell all of our buildings that whenever you get the message clear town, oh, we didn't save it. Clear town. Okay. Broadcast clear town. When I clear the town, delete the instance. So wipe everything out. If the coins are greater than the goal, then create a clone of next level. So the next level should pop up. It should broadcast clear the town. And then we want to go through and change all our variables again. We're going to set coins to 5. You can start off with 5 coins. We are going to set the roll count back to 0. We are going to set the number of flower gardens back to 0. Let's see. I think that's all we need to do. We are going to change level by 1. Change level by 1, which is going to automatically repeat back up here to set the goal to be higher. That should be everything we need to make our level progression system happen. Next, we want to hide these building options so that they only show if you are at the right level where you can see them. So let's go through and let's hide the flower garden. So I'm going to go just to these build areas. It's like mine, forever. Yeah, we're going to add a forever loop in here. And we are going to tell it that if level is greater than, what level do we say? 5. If you've gotten past level 5, you can get the mine. So variables, and it's going to be really easy because we're going to do a look that just says show. And until that point, we're going to hide it. So if level is greater than 5, you can show it. So if we press this green button, the mine should disappear, and it did. We also want to do this to dice 2. And so we'll do the exact same thing. And I'm going to just create this code that hides anything unless a level is on it. And then I'm going to copy it to anything I want to hide behind a level. And then we'll go through and change the level on our own. So looks show variable if level is greater than, let's say, 2. Actually, I want that one to work on 5. So level 6 is when you can see the second dice and when you can have the option to roll 2 dice. What am I looking for? Looks, hide. You can only see it there. And we don't want that if, we need that inside of forever. Otherwise it'll check at the beginning of the game and it won't ever check again. So this little block of code is the stuff that hides stuff behind a level. So I'm not even going to duplicate it. I can just drag it over. And I know I want my forest, my build forest hidden behind a level. I want my double dice hidden behind a level. I want my flower garden, build flower garden hidden behind a level. And I want my build flower shop hidden behind a level. And I want my build mine, but we already did that one. So I think now we're ready. We're going to attach this here, which is going to hide our second dice. Hit the green button and it hides it. Let's go to our double dice and we'll just attach it here. It's going to hide our double dice now. Let's go to our build forest. I want that one to be an option once you get past level 1. So the forest becomes available on level 2. I want my flower garden to be available on level 3. I want my flower shop to be available on level 4. And I don't have anything that becomes available on level 5. The mine becomes available on level 6. So I am going to give you a second dice on level 5, but you can't roll both yet. So we have now created a level system. So all of these are now hidden behind a level. The next thing we want to do is we want to add some polish. We've got a sound when you roll a dice, but we don't have any other sounds on our game. So I would like it that every time you start a level, or every time it clears the town, oh, we need to go through and tell it to clear the town. So what we will do is for wheat field, when I receive the message, clear town, we just want to delete the instance of the sprite. Delete this clone. So this code right here is going to go into all of our actual buildings, not the build cards, but the buildings. So when I receive clear town, delete this clone. When I receive clear town, delete cafe, delete forest, delete mine, delete flower garden, delete flower shop. I think that's everything. Now, when you change levels, your town will clear. I want it to also start playing some music. When I receive clear town, I like the garden song, so I search for garden. So when I receive clear town, start sound, garden. And when the game first starts, let's also start the garden song. Our game now has levels that get unlocked whenever you play. It has buildings that you can build, a town that you can adjust and change. The final thing I want to do, I think this is step 5 of this video. We're right around that hour mark, so we've done a lot with this. We want to make it so that coins explode from the dice whenever you get dice. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to wheat field. Actually, we're going to go to coin. And when our coin starts, let's just see what it looks like. So looks, show. That coin is giant. We want to make that coin very small. So we're going to set it to about 10%. A little bit smaller. Let's do 7%. I think that's a good size of a coin. I'm going to hide it. But I want to create the coin as an instance. And so when this coin is created as an instance, when I start as a clone, we're going to show it. It is going to always start from the same spot. I don't want it to go to a random position. I want it to erupt from the mouse pointer. So wherever your mouse is where these coins are going to go. And then it is going to glide for 1 second to a random position. So in any direction. And maybe let's say 2 seconds, and we'll see if we should change that. And then it's going to just disappear or delete the instance. Control, delete this clone. So let's test our game out. What we're hoping to have happen is our game is hidden behind levels. So you can go up to level 6, and that's when you unlock the mine. We should have it so that coins erupt from the dice whenever you win. That's not going to work because we haven't coded in to create an instance of a clone. So anytime, if dice total equals 1, change coins by payout, we are going to also create an instance or create a clone of a coin. And so we're going to attach this to every single business that pays out, so that for every business that it pays out, it's going to create a coin to show you. Create clone of 8-bit coin. I'm going to just copy this into everything. That way I can quickly go through and grab it instead of having to navigate through the menu. So when I receive check payout, only if we're matching the dice total. So we'll go to the forest. There it is. We'll go to the mine. And the clear town we added there a while ago, adds that there. Flower garden. It doesn't look like Flower Garden has the clear town. So what I'll do is I will copy this over to Flower Garden. And now it's there. So now our town should clear when we level up. We should have a next level sign that flies out, and the coins should appear. Let's test this game out. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit the green button. My sound starts. I want to start off with some cafes, or some wheat fields, I mean. It created a coin on 4. That created multiple coins. It's creating a coin every time because we have these hidden clones back here of the business. The way to fix this, I'm going to add another if statement to my control. And it's going to be an and statement if 2 things are true. And basically, I need to know, is that payment 0? Actually, I can just add this in here. Yeah, that's what we'll do. If payout is greater than 0, then create that clone. Because we already have an instance that's hidden on this stage, because I don't know how to just delete a sprite from the stage. I'm sure there's a way to do it. So if payout is greater than 0, then create that clone. So what we'll do is we will take this code and we're just going to copy this into our cafe. We'll copy this into our forest. We'll copy this into our mine. We'll copy this into our flower garden. Copy this into our flower shop. We will just attach it underneath. So first it checks to see if it rolled the activation number. And then if it's an active business, that's the one that'll create the clone. So we just need to go through and update our cafe with this. Then delete that one. Update our forest with this. Get rid of that. Update our mine with this. So we went through and we changed all of them. our game should work now. Let's build 3 wheat fields. Start rolling the dice. Money should only go flying out if we roll a 1, which is the only business we have currently. Rolled a 1, 3 coins went flying out. I'm going to build 3 more wheat fields. I'm noticing our roll count doesn't update. We should fix that early on in the game. My next level didn't work, but my screen cleared. So what I want to do is I want to click on next level. We never told it to show, so we'll go to looks. Tell it to show. We will also go to roll count, and anytime I roll the dice, anytime I broadcast check payout, I also want to change my roll by 1. And so I'm going to add that to dice 1. I'm going to add that to dice 2. And I'm going to add that to the double dice. So where I see check payout, I also want to add to my roll count. We have finished this game. It's got a level progression system. It's got the ability for you to move around your town and change how things look. There's lots more that you could do with this game to make it more engaging, to make it more fun. You could add some animations to all these buildings. You could add clouds that float across the sky. You could troubleshoot a little bit more and see if you run into any other issues. We could come up with a gold star system where you get 3 stars if you beat a level in, I don't know, maybe you get 6 rolls for every level you're on. So if you can beat it in 6 rolls, you get 3 stars. If you can beat it in 12 rolls for level 2, you get 3 stars. 1 star for beating it and 2 stars for something in between. But lots of ways you could change this game. I hope you enjoyed this cozy game. We learned all about broadcasting messages and making things happen with messages. We talked all about creating clones of different things and how to progress our game. We've got a good core gameplay loop, and I can't wait to see how you change this game and make it better. You know how to make businesses now, so you can create cards for any number that your dice could possibly roll. And there's plenty of room on this stage to make more businesses.